All right, looks like we got Bitcoin back at over $72,000. Yesterday on the 29th, it briefly touched 73 and a half before stabilizing around 72 and a half thousand dollars, well above last cycle's all-time high. And we've been chilling at this price, not just awake. It looks like we had a daily close, adding to some confirmation that we could be legging up again soon. I wanted to talk about holding your Bitcoin for the long term, um, and why this is important, why time in the market is important, especially with Bitcoin. For context, my brother had purchased Bitcoin a long time ago. I remember him telling us at the dinner table all about it, my mom, my sister, my whole family about it. This had to have been in 2013. And we all just looked at him like he was crazy. We just didn't understand what he was talking about. We didn't see the point. No one had really heard of it too much at that time, and I think he ended up selling a decent, almost all of it, which I'm sure he's upset about. But he told me that he has a decent amount of Bitcoin still. Talked to him recently that he bought at a cost basis of less than $2,000 a coin. And I'm sure at the time he thought that he was very late with that acquisition of Bitcoin, given that price. For context, his friend um, that he went to college with ended up retiring from Bitcoin again. I think this was in 2013, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, he had around 500 um, Bitcoin, and he sold and has since retired. And I'm sure to an extent, even he's beating himself up about selling some of that Bitcoin. Of course, he lives a much better life and it was worth it. I'm sure if he were to do it again, he would do the same thing. But I wanted to talk about this idea of just staying in the market. With an asset as volatile as Bitcoin, it's easy to get caught in the daily movements, the ups and downs, the rips up and the roars down, and all of that. But really, if you just like the meme, like people say, zoom out, if you just look at the picture, you see the price going up. With volatility, it goes up to the right. Sure, it crashes and corrects and reverts to the mean. Sure, it gets overbought, oversold. Sure, there's fear and greed taking over the market. We see this with other assets too, but I think the opportunity with Bitcoin is that A, people will try to sell it to make a quick profit due to the volatility. And B, the opportunity lies in the fact that a lot of people just don't understand it. It's kind of an arbitrage. You are putting a lot of faith, maybe allocation in to this asset. And I said in one of my other videos, if you talk to, a lot of professionals, they'll just think you're stupid. They'll just think it's dumb. They think it's just some pie in the sky, just made up thing. But the reality is we have BlackRock with their ETF with over $20 billion, over 400,000 Bitcoin for their clients since launch in January of this year. That number is only ever going to go up. These institutional investors are not playing around. They're not day trading. They're not trying to make a quick 30, 40, 50% in a year. They're going to keep this. And even if they don't buy any more Bitcoin, say they have a 1% allocation, what happens when the allocation goes from 1% to 2? They didn't do anything different. It doubles. Now their portfolio is twice as much Bitcoin. If it doubles again, we see 4%. And then at that point, they'll begin, to realize that this is outperforming everything else in their portfolio. And it will now be a new benchmark for new allocations. And selling that just doesn't seem like a good idea, especially right now. We are flirting with all-time high. We came about $100 away from that 73.7 all-time high was set in March. We are right there. Anyone selling right now, I mean, look, unless you really need that money right now, I just I just think it's crazy. I mean, you see previous cycles, we get to that previous all-time high, knock on it, hit resistance, go up, hit it as support, and then eventually run out of sellers at that price, and that's it. So I would try to keep your Bitcoin as long as possible. I would take it off an exchange. I would put it in cold storage if you can. Write your seed phrase down. You put it in a safe. People stamp it on metal. People do all sorts of crazy stuff. But if you want to keep it for a long time, you have to set up your security and your storage in a way that you can have it for a long time. You've heard the stories of people, throwing out their $700 million in Bitcoin, leaving it on a hard drive, throwing it out on accident. People lose Bitcoin every day. Send it to the wrong address. Just buy it, take it off the exchange. You just don't touch it. I mean, it's simple as that. You don't have to do anything after that. Like I've had my Bitcoin cold storage for years. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to pay anything. I don't have to think about it. It's working. It's just all this stuff going on. It doesn't have an effect on it. I mean, it's just, and the longer I have it there, the more valuable it is. What if I did that 5 years ago? I did it 10 years ago. How much, you know, like my everything would have changed. I did the same thing as I've done now. I did that maybe 3 years ago, but the longer you have it, the better off you're going to be. There's going to be a point where there's less than a Bitcoin coming out for every block reward. Then it's going to be cut in half and in half and in half. No one's going to want to sell it. The price is going to keep going up. The demand for institutions is going to continue flowing in. Plebs like me, we hear big institutions speak on this. We have MicroStrategy just inhaling all the Bitcoin. You got big players in here. You got Michael Dell tweeting about Bitcoin. You got Microsoft, thinking about Bitcoin. This is just, guys, like what else? Bitcoin's at like 73,000. What else do you need to like believe that, this is important? This is something you shouldn't sell. This is something that's different from everything else. It's just, you know, a lot of people look at Bitcoin and they kind of just lumped it in with cryptocurrency, but like Bitcoin just the one second. It's just different. Kind of like an immaculate conception. I don't think it can be repeated. Um, and all these other cryptocurrencies, they have a leader, they have these roadmaps, they have these cat wallets and purses and all this crazy dancing, and it's not. This is different. I feel like if anyone does their homework on Bitcoin with an open mind, they'll come to the conclusion that it's valuable, that it can't be stopped, and you shouldn't sell it if you have it. You should buy it, you should take it off the exchange, and you just shouldn't sell it. Um, and that's it. Guys, if you like this content, please subscribe and give it a like, and I'll speak to you soon.